I'm Nixon Bukachi. I'm an engineer by profession, an electrical engineer. So basically at the authority, I'm charged with the development of policies and regulations that touch on renewable energy technologies, ranging from solar energy, geothermal, wind, hydro, coming up with the policies that promote these technologies and at the same time disseminating knowledge in terms of how these technologies can be developed for the good of the country. In terms of how stakeholders look at renewable energy, they consider it to be solar, which is not correct. Basically, renewable energy are resources that can be replenished within human life. So it means we can use them infinitely without exhausting those resources. So examples of, as I've already mentioned, would be solar energy to start with, which we are endowed with in most parts of the country. Wind, which we have in some parts of the country also. Geothermal, hydro, tidal energy, wave energy, and there are quite a few that are emerging in the market as we go forward. Even use of biomass, but sustainable use of biomass is a form of renewable energy resource that we can use. One of the mandates of the authority is to develop frameworks that promote the generation, use, transportation, and storage of renewable energy sources. So that one sentence alone carries a lot of things, because basically we have to look at how are we using our renewable energy sources, who are the people who are involved in the actual work, are they qualified, and how can we be able to support the person who has no knowledge, the technical knowledge on renewable energy, to be able to utilize or take advantage of these resources that you are endowed with. So through this, we have been able to develop various frameworks. I think the famous one being the solar regulations, that we look at the people who are involved, or the players who are involved in the actual manufacture and the importation of solar PV components, to make that they are of good, make sure that they are of good quality. We also look at the people who are involved in the actual installation of those products, because you could have good systems, but if they're not configured well, then you are not able to optimize on the usage of resources. So we also try to carry out a promotion in terms of awareness of the existence of these resources and how various people are able to take advantage of these resources that we have in form of renewable energy. Storage is not basically a problem of renewable energy alone. It's a system issue, because basically we generate as we use. And the challenge we have with some of the renewable energy sources, they are only available at given times. And at that time, you might not be having the demand. So in this case, is to be able to structure our network in a way that when we have the resource, for example, if you're talking about solar energy, when you have the sun, you're able to optimize on the usage of the sun and maybe store if you have excess. So in this case, storage gives us an aspect of optimization of those resources, and we're able to take advantage of the various types of renewable energy sources that we have, so that they work together in a complementary way. So for instance, if you're talking about a geothermal, you can be able to shut down a geothermal power plant for sure and have it as a base load, and to ensure that that plant gives you a given capacity for a longer period of time, which cannot happen with the sun, or which might not happen with wind. So basically, one thing that we should be able to do is to have great data in terms of our characteristics of the resources that we have, and also how our demand varies over time, and try to optimize the two so that we're able to take full advantage of the resources that we have. In some cases, we'll find it's not just because of the resource itself, but also it's because of our behavior. For instance, in Kenya, we realize that most of the energy is used between 6 in the evening and 10 in the night. So basically, from a planning perspective, whichever source you use, you must make sure that you're able to meet that demand. But most optimized systems will find that the demand curve is almost levelized, that you are using almost the same amount of energy throughout the day and night. So that's how we're able to optimize on the resources that we have. Whether you were to use a coal power plant and you are using a lot of energy in the evening and very little energy during the day, then it will become an operational challenge. So basically the aspect of storage affects most of the technologies, and that's why here we talk about pumped hydro, for instance, where you generate and then pump back to a storage and be able to reuse the same water. There's also a lot of research that is being done in terms of using the conventional batteries to store energy, and is one of the things that we are even considering for the Kenyan network. And we are happy that South Africa has led the way, and we have one of the big power plants for storage that has just been commissioned in South Africa. We have to consider a power system holistically. We have to look at the amount of resource we have from each technology and how we are able to use them in a complementary way. So for instance, I can give an example. You find we have Lake Turkana wind now that usually runs mostly at night. The resource is better at night. And we have Kipeto wind that the resource is better during the day. So you see now these sources are complementing each other. So if we're able to look at it from that perspective, then we're able to absorb more of renewable energy sources to our network. And then maybe take advantage of other forms of energy that can be able to regulate, you're able to regulate easily. For example, use of gas turbines to generate electricity. So with that in the network, then we're able to bring in more of intermittent sources, as opposed to relying on hydro and geothermal, which are more of fixed generation. There are things that we used to say are not possible before. For example, in the 1980s, use of solar was basically for the base stations, and it was not considered a viable option to electrify homes. It was not a viable option to put in industries, but now we are grappling with the high uptake of solar and how we are able to balance with other generation. So to me, with proper research, proper development of technologies, like the use of hydrogen, for instance, where we can use the excess solar during the day or wind to generate hydrogen that then we can use as a fuel in our vehicles. So the options are infinite. It's limitless. It depends on what we want to use the technologies for. Basically, the world is concerned about aspects to do with climate change. I know there are people who say it's a natural phenomenon and not really 100% dependent on the resources that we use for energy, but there is existing evidence now to show that there are more emissions coming when you use fossil fuels, and these emissions do have an impact on the environment. If you go to some of the cities in the world that are developed, you can't even see the sun, basically because of smoke from coal power plants. So those are facts that we can't ignore, and they are facts that we should look for. As human beings, we should look for ways of trying to clear up some of these issues by using more renewable energy sources and also trying to become more efficient. So in terms of COP26, is to look the call is to look at it holistically. One, we need to meet our needs. So at what cost is another question that we should also be trying to address. So we'll be looking at cost, we'll be looking at the form of energy and sustainability, and how we are able to make our future more resilient to changes of climate changes by balancing some of these things, some of these aspects to do with energy. There are many aspects to look at. One of which is we talk about employment being one of the key things that renewable energy has been able to bring about. The traditional forms of fuel, for instance, the use of a coal power plant. You need one coal power plant to meet. You can have one coal power plant now to meet the need of this country. So how many people will be employed in that coal power plant? Very few people to run the plant. But in this case, renewable energy gives us the possibility of each consumer owning a system on their roof, for instance, or having wind turbine, a small wind turbine next to their water pumping system. So basically all this brings in a form of employment. We are also using resources that we have. We are not importing geothermal. is God-given. We are not importing wind, we are not importing solar. We are optimizing on the resources that we have. What alternative do we have? We need to import, for example, petroleum products to be able to run a thermal power plant. And the prices that fluctuate every time. In fact, even now, we're in a situation where there is a crisis, not in Kenya, but globally. If you go to petrol stations, people are saying the prices are very high. So we are dependent on other people, what we call energy security, to be able to meet our energy requirements. So that's one of the benefits of renewable energy. If we're able to use the hydro resource that we have, the geothermal resource that we have, then we are sure that we have insulated ourselves from economic shocks that happen globally. Because when the prices go up globally, then the price of petroleum products in Kenya go up, and therefore the cost of diesel, and therefore the cost of electricity. So it's a ripple effect. So basically, it's an aspect of employment, an aspect of sustainability. Of course, there are opportunities to work with the various players currently in the sector, but to me it will be more of a rallying call to African governments and African governments within the region, because we have bigger potential to utilize these resources. Over time, we have been users of technology. We import panels, we import solar inverters. I don't mean we should start manufacturing them today, because the market might be small as a country. But if we are able to synergize as a region, for instance, we are able to create more opportunities for our young people in form of working in manufacturing plants. I mentioned hydrogen at some point, and globally we are looking at how we are able to produce hydrogen at a larger scale. So you cannot produce hydrogen for use in Kenya only. You might want to produce hydrogen that can be piped to Uganda, Tanzania. So if Kenya, for instance, is identified as a hub for producing this resource, then we are able to benefit more from the renewable energy technologies, more than working single-handedly. So basically, people can work, people in the engineering field are able to work in various companies that are involved in the development of the technologies. In the utility companies, they also use renewable energy technologies. If you go to KenGen, they generate using geothermal. There are opportunities there for people to be employed. And also, one thing that of course I'm emphasizing on is having to build synergies between the various countries to build a sufficient market for manufacturing and even research in some of these technologies. With that, we're able to benefit more. Basically, it's independence. Independence in terms of energy ownership, and renewable energy gives us that independence. I know for a long time, globally, we have been relying on big utilities to supply us with energy. But I believe everyone can be able to own their own energy source and meet them at their point of need.